How are you? So in case you missed it, I'm actually going live with Read2Me. We're actually going to be doing a reading for the kids tonight, so you could get all the kiddies to come on if you guys have kids. And if you know kids, you could call them up as well. We're going to read them a little bedtime story. So I'm going to add my friend Sophie in, and we're going to do... Let's see if I can get Sophie in. Hey, Sophie.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. So Read2Me is going to have this up on their page, I think, as soon as we're done. So we should say hi to all of the little kids and tell them who we are. So famous DJ Anna, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody who you are?
Hi guys, so I'm DJ Anna. I'm a DJ. I'm a producer. I'm a radio personality. I do the Glam Jam on Hot 93 Mondays to Fridays. And I'm also a designer and an entrepreneur. And this is Sophie. Sophie, you can tell them a little bit about you.
Hi, kids. So I'm Auntie Sophie, and some of you, if you are in the car coming home from school and your parents have on the radio, might recognize my voice sometimes, but probably for copyright reasons, I shouldn't imitate any of the ads. All I should say is that one of the places I do things for is on Traggeries Road.
Yeah, Sophie has a very familiar voice. You guys would definitely know. As I said, I can't necessarily tell you all the places that you've probably heard her voice, but you've heard her voice in a lot of places.
Yeah, I think some of the parents right now are going, wait, is that the ATM?
Yes. Yes. Sophie's actually the voice of the ATM, in case you guys didn't know that. Yeah,
I mean,
that's pretty cool.
That made my name. So Read2Me, I think, is such a wonderful initiative. I know that some of you kids are home and are wondering why your parents are increasingly annoyed that you're around. Want to take a break, okay? Let you take in a wonderful story and a wonderful Caribbean story.
Yeah, it's such a good book. They actually had the first part of the reading last night. So hopefully you guys will be able to just jump in and understand where we're at. But either way, it's up on the page. You guys can check it out at read2me_TT. And they have all the stories that they've done so far with some pretty cool and amazing people if you guys want to check it out. It's on the IGTV page.
I'll give you a little catch-up though, kids. So the book is Trapped in Dunstan's Cave. It's part of the Caribbean Adventures series. It's actually book 3 in that series by Carol Otley Mitchell. And if you get your hands on the book, you'll be able to see beautiful illustrations by Anne Catherine Liu. So I don't have a physical copy with me, but I'm planning to get one because I want to see what it's like as well as hearing all of it. Now, they read the first 3 chapters last night, and in it you meet Mark and Kyle, who are best friends, and they're in St. Kitts. Mark is actually Trinity. He moved there like a year before that, and they're talking about their school trip to visit Trinidad and Tobago, and Mark is super excited because he gets to see people back home. Now, everybody was going off last night because Mark has a special friend, a pet monkey named Chee Chee.
Chee Chee!
Chee Chee's a character. Chee Chee shut down the chat half the time. So
Chee Chee's the best. Chee Chee's the best.
Yeah, Chee Chee escape and reappear. Chee Chee's mischief. Okay. And there's also a girl called Ingrid who they don't seem very keen on, but my girl Rhea seems to think she's everybody's best friend.
Yeah, she really does.
So yes. I'm getting real lost though. Right, so they got to Trinidad. Chee Chee is with them. And they went to the Israelite Nature Center. Beautiful place, and they were having a really good time. And Kyle sees this lizard and wants to go after the lizard and grabs the monkey cage. And the woman in charge of Israel is only telling them, look, we can't go into Dunstan's Cave because there are poachers around and that's dangerous. Everybody stay together. But you don't know Kyle gone and run off.
He gone.
Kyle again. Man named Kyle. So where we are in the story is that the teachers and the Israelite officials have said, okay, everybody inside, we have to send out a search party for Kyle. But Ingrid has asked if she and Mark, and Chee Chee, of course, can stay on the porch. They are his best friends, and they want to be there when he comes back. So that's basically what we are, right, Anna?
Yeah, that's pretty much a synopsis of what you guys would have missed last night. So hopefully you guys could follow along. We're going to do about 3 chapters today for you guys. So yeah, let's kick it off.
Let's do it!
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so this chapter, we're jumping into chapter 4, which is called Lost. Snakes, Ingrid exclaimed. She was now standing next to Mark and she gripped his arm. Yes, Mark replied. Trinidad has 4 venomous snakes. One of them is the fer-de-lance. That's one of the most dangerous snakes in the world. Then he noticed how frightened Ingrid was. Her face was pale. You don't have to worry in here, he added. Too many people. They won't come here. But what about Kyle, she wailed. Out there with poachers and snakes? We have to help him. Auntie Margaret is sending out a search party. I'm sure they'll find him soon. He can't have got far. And you know, Kyle, once he remembers that he's missing lunch, he'll come back.
Mark laughed a little, hoping to cheer Ingrid up, but she gave him a withering look. Not a good time for jokes, Mark. Kyle and I argue all the time, but I don't want anything to happen to him. We should help find him. Miss Isles, gathering up the remaining children, spoke very firmly to them. Let's go to our rooms and settle in until Kyle is found. I need everyone to stay together. No one else is to wander off. Ingrid raised her hand. Miss Isles, can Mark and I please wait here for Kyle? We're his best friends, and I want to be here when he gets back. Miss Isles looked at the innocent, pleading expression on Ingrid's face and gave in. Okay. Just make sure that you both stay put on the veranda. No wandering off. I'll be back soon.
Mark and Ingrid agreed, and then continued their argument in whispers. Mark said, I want him back just as much as you do, but that's our job for the experts. Better if we wait here. Plus, we just promised Miss Isles. Mark looked at from Ingrid. He could see a spark growing in her eyes, a sure sign that she was about to get them both in trouble. You can't just stay here doing nothing. He's your best friend, Ingrid insisted. I can. Just watch me. I told him not to go chasing the stupid lizard anyway, Mark said defiantly. Then he dropped his head. I really hope he's okay. There's only one way to find out. We'll take Chee Chee and go looking for Kyle. Chee Chee will warn us of any danger, Ingrid said authoritatively.
Oh, she know that.
I don't know if she knew that, huh?
Mark sighed. Okay, we'll just go down to the forest edge, just to the edge that we can see from here. We'll see if Chee Chee can pick up his scent. Vervet monkeys are supposed to have a very good sense of smell. They headed down the steps and towards the trees below. The 2 children immediately understood how Kyle could have been drawn into the fascinating rainforest. There were a large variety of trees and flowering plants of all shapes and sizes. Mark recognized the ginger lilies, but he was more interested in the trumpet-shaped flowers that he spotted in abundance. The birds continued their loud chorus, and butterflies fluttered from plant to plant, spots of color moving in the lush green. Mark wished that he could identify even a few of the bird calls that he heard.
They immediately forgot their promise to Miss Isles and their plan to go only to the forest edge. There was a well-worn path, and Ingrid started down it confidently. Mark and Chee Chee followed. The path was wide enough for the children to walk side by side, but Mark stayed behind Ingrid. He stopped whenever he saw a creature. He saw many: praying mantis, stick insects, lizards, and tree frogs. He often strayed off the path, fell behind, and had to run to catch up with Ingrid. She followed the path, her eyes fixed on the ground, watching her step. After walking for about 5 minutes, Ingrid stopped suddenly. Mark, who was right behind her, had to step back to avoid running into her back.
What was that? She asked. I didn't hear anything, Mark replied. Shh, listen. This time, Mark heard the knocking sound. It came from his left. He looked quickly around, and the sound stopped. He took 2 steps forward, and it started again. Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat. What is it? Ingrid asked. She was also looking around the trees. Finally, Mark spotted the culprit. A chestnut-colored woodpecker with red cheeks and a streak of light brown on his head, firmly gripped a small tree trunk and hammered away happily at it. There it is, a woodpecker, Mark cried, pointing at the bird. How cool is that?
Ingrid looked over his shoulder. Oh, she exclaimed, beautiful! They looked at the bird for a few seconds. It totally ignored them as it focused on its job, tapping at the tree, pausing, and then tapping some more. Then they came to a fork in the pathway. Now what do we do? Ingrid said. Mark pointed to the left path that was obviously more traveled. I'm pretty sure when I came here last time that we went this way, he said. He wandered a little way down the path on the left. As he walked, he thought he heard voices of the others searching for Kyle. He didn't want to get caught in the forest alone, so he returned to the head of the fork where Ingrid was waiting.
Put Chee Chee down on the ground and see which way he goes, Ingrid suggested. Good idea, Mark responded, and said, Chee Chee, find Kyle. Chee Chee started off towards the path on the right. Mark followed. Ingrid hesitated for a minute, then she followed Mark and Chee Chee further into the forest. This path was much more difficult than the first one. Fallen trees, branches, and vines were scattered across the path, waiting to trip up the careless walker. Mark no longer searched for forest animals. He kept his eyes trained on the ground. I hope Chee Chee knows where he's going, Ingrid muttered. He does, Mark reassured her.
He jumped into a branch that lay in his way and jumped down on the other side. Yuck! He exclaimed. What happened? Ingrid asked. Mud, was Mark's reply. All over my shoes and socks. Chee Chee ran forward, clearly very sure of the way. Sometimes he would run forward as far as his leash would allow, and then come back as if urging them to hurry. Only Kyle would choose to come out here, Ingrid muttered, stomping through the underbrush. They were so focused on the ground that they were surprised when they felt the warmth of the sun on the back of their necks. Mark looked up. They had followed the path out of the forest into a clearing. A riverbed lay in front of them, dry except for a thin trail of water that meandered through the rocks in the river.
This must be part of the Guacharo River, Mark said, looking back at Ingrid. It's the main river that runs through this part of the Arima Valley. What's up with Chee Chee? Ingrid asked. Chee Chee had stopped moving forward and was running excitedly around something on the ground. Mark walked over to Chee Chee and picked up the object. It was the small telescope that Kyle had been given on their adventure with the pirates at Port Royal. It's Kyle's. This means he was here. Mark paused. His lips trembled. It also means he's in trouble. He would never have dropped this by mistake.
I'm scared, Ingrid admitted. Let's get help. We have proof now that this is the way he came. We've come this far, Mark insisted. Whatever has happened, if we go all the way back to get help, it might be too late. We have to go on. He can't be far. Mark pocketed the telescope and started forward. But Chee Chee would not move, in spite of Mark's tugging on the leash. The monkey stayed rooted to the spot where he had found the telescope. Come on, Chee Chee, let's go, Mark said. Maybe he lost his scent, Ingrid said. I doubt it. Kyle must be somewhere around here. Let's call him. Mark cupped his hand around his mouth and called loudly, Kyle! He turned to face the opposite direction, cupped his mouth again, and shouted, Kyle!
He began turning around in a circle, shouting, Kyle! If he spun fast enough when he shouted, he could hear his voice rushing past his ears like a bus speeding by on the highway. He spun faster and faster, enjoying the sound. Mark's not playing the fool, Ingrid cried. But Mark ignored her. He kept spinning until finally he was dizzy, and he stopped, disoriented, and stumbling around a bit. He took a step to the side to steady himself, and suddenly he felt the earth dissolving from underneath him as he fell into a deep hole. He tried to grab onto the vines and brush that had covered the hole, but they fell into the hole with him. He dropped with a thump at the bottom. He was dazed for a few seconds, and then slowly and gingerly, he got to his feet. He hadn't hurt himself, although the hole was very deep.
He looked up the sides of the hole. They were very steep, and he couldn't climb out. He heard Ingrid from up above. "Mark!" she screamed. Then her voice sounded much closer, as if she were directly above the hole. "Mark, are you okay?" From his prison beneath the earth, Mark yelled, "Ingrid, run! Get help! Run!"
Chapter 5. Down the Rabbit Hole. Mark was surrounded in darkness. A thin stream of light came from above, a little sunlight that seeped down to the bottom. Since he could not climb up, Mark started searching for another way out. He used his hands to feel his way along the walls of the hole until his eyes grew accustomed to the dark. He soon discovered that it was quite large and was actually a small cave. He felt his way to a doorway in the wall, his heart filled with hope that there would be another way out. He went through the archway, and he saw a slit of light in the distance. Then his hopes fell as he realized that the outer cave was blocked by a large wrought iron gate, blocking his way to the rest of the cave.
He didn't have much time to consider this new problem before he heard a rustling sound behind him, followed by a girl's scream. He ran back into the main cave and was very surprised to see Ingrid hurtling through the roof. He ran over to help her from where she had fallen. "Are you okay?" he asked. "Yeah, I think so," Ingrid replied, dazed from the fall and everything that was happening. "What are you doing down here?" Mark asked. Ingrid looked sheepish. "I was trying to figure out what to do. A man came out of the forest. He ran at me, shouting. I was so frightened. I forgot about the hole. I stepped back to get away from him and fell in here." "What did the man look like? Maybe he was one of the rangers looking for Kyle." "I don't think so. He called us meddling kids. I figured he must be a poacher."
"Where's Chee Chee?" Mark asked. "I don't know. He tried to warn me that the man was coming, and then he disappeared," Ingrid replied. "He tried to warn me too. That's why he wouldn't go any further after we found Kyle's telescope." "Do you think this guy captured Kyle?" "I don't know," Mark replied. The children heard footsteps and stopped talking. Mark took Ingrid's hand and guided her towards the big iron gate so that they could see who was coming. A man strode towards the metal gate. As he came closer, the children saw that he was dragging something heavy behind him.
"Is that the man you saw?" Mark whispered. "I think so," Ingrid replied. The man reached the gate of the prison and stuck his face between the bars. The face was brown and creased like a piece of leather that had been in the sun too long. But the thing that alarmed Mark most was the long scar on his right cheek. It was shaped like a lightning bolt and made him look very fierce. Mark and Ingrid cowered under his malevolent stare. The man took out some keys, opened the metal gate, and threw the bundle that he was carrying into the cave with the other children. "I'll be back when I figure out what to do with you." He slammed the gate shut, turned the key, and stumped off. The bundle groaned and pulled itself into a sitting position. It was Kyle.
"Kyle, are you okay?" Mark ran over to where Kyle had landed. "Yeah," he replied. He didn't hurt me. I just hurt my arm when I fell in here the first time." He peered through the dim light at Ingrid and Mark. "What are you doing here?" "We came looking for you, stupid!" Ingrid said angrily. "What were you thinking about running off like that?" "I don't know," Kyle replied. "I just wanted to catch the lizard. I followed it into the forest, and the forest was so cool. I didn't realize how far I had gone. Then I fell in the trap." "Who's this guy? Did he say anything to you?" Mark asked. "He's a poacher. I think he's the one taking the oil birds from Dunstan's cave." "Wait, what's that noise?" Mark interrupted.
He held one hand up in the air, tipping his head in the direction of the metal gate. The three children looked towards the gate and saw Chee Chee walking down the passageway towards them. He stopped in front of the locked gate. "Chee Chee!" Mark exclaimed. Chee Chee dropped something through the bars. Mark walked over, and to his great surprise, he discovered that the monkey had dropped a ring with 2 keys onto the floor of the cave. "Good boy! You got the keys? How beside himself with excitement. He must have snuck them out of the poacher's pocket, Mark replied. Come on, let's get out of here quickly. It won't be long before he discovers his keys are missing.
Mark picked up the keys, pushed his hand through the gate, and twisted his arm around so that he could put the key in the lock and turn it. After a few tries, he opened the lock. The children filed quietly out of the cave. Kyle took the keys from Mark and locked the door behind them. It might slow him down a bit if he can't open the gate to see if we're there, Kyle murmured. He put the keys into his pocket. Chee Chee ran ahead of the children, and they followed him. He went further into the tunnel, and then he made a left turn down another tunnel. The ceiling of the tunnel was low, and Mark had to bend at some points to get through without hitting his head. This isn't the way the man took me, Kyle said.
And that's a good thing, Ingrid replied. We're trying to get away from him, remember? What's that smell? Mark wrinkled his nose. Ew, Kyle exclaimed. It smells like something died in here. And what's that noise? It sounds like someone's crying, Ingrid exclaimed, covering her ears to block out the loud cries coming from deep in the cave. Chee Chee continued moving forward, despite the assault on their noses and ears. Gradually, the roof of the tunnel got higher, and Mark no longer had to bend his head. The tunnel widened into a cave. Mark was the first to enter. Watch out! It's... Ah! Kyle stepped into the cave, slipped and fell with a smack on his bottom. Slippery. Mark tried not to laugh.
Kyle got to his feet and tried to clean his hands and the seat of his pants. What's this stuff anyway? He asked, raising his hands to his nose. Before anyone could respond, Ingrid screamed. She tugged on Kyle's shirt and pointed behind them. High up in the roof of the cave, two reddish-brown eyes stared curiously at the children. What's that? Ingrid stammered. It must be an oil bird, Mark replied. We must be in the back of Dunstan's cave. He paused. Which means that stuff on the ground is probably bird poop. Oh, Kyle said. Oh, yes, Ingrid replied. And boy, do you stink. Her laughter was short-lived, and she screamed again as the bird she had seen launched itself in her direction.
The children watched the bird fly over their heads, turn, and disappear into the depths of the cave. They could hear quite a bit of activity in the cave ahead. It sounded as if a number of birds were taking flight, but none of them came close to the children. They heard footsteps pounding down the tunnel behind them. He's coming, Kyle whispered. Chee Chee ran further into the cave. Mark grabbed Kyle's hand and pulled him forward, forcing him into a run. Ingrid followed. The children moved as quickly as they could, although the floor of the cave was slippery, covered in the oil bird's dung. They heard the man's footsteps getting closer. You have nowhere to run, he shouted menacingly from behind them.
He's right, Mark said. Look! Several meters ahead of them, they could see the wall of the cave. Light came from the roof, and it seemed that the only way out was up.
Chapter 6. Hunted. We're trapped, Kyle exclaimed. We can't be, Mark replied. There must be another entrance to this cave. As they approached the cave wall, Chee Chee seemed to just disappear into the cave wall. Mark, who was first behind Chee Chee, looked all about, trying to figure out where the monkey had gone. He was about to call his pet when he noticed a small tunnel on his right. The entrance was hidden in the shadows. Mark looked over his shoulder to make sure that Ingrid and Kyle saw where he was going, and then he stepped sideways into the tunnel, following Chee Chee as quickly as he could.
The tunnel sloped upwards. The children climbed, following Chee Chee into the sunlight ahead. They stepped out and found themselves once more in the crisp, fresh air of the rainforest. Whoa, where are we now? Kyle exclaimed, rubbing his eyes. The children had stumbled out of the cave in the bright daylight. Mark glanced around. They were once again on the grassy bank of the Guacharo River. The riverbed lay in front of them. Don't know, Mark panted. Keep running. They ran through the grass and began to cross the dry riverbed. Ingrid tripped on one of the rocks scattered throughout the riverbed and fell. Ow! She cried out, holding her leg.
Kyle looked back. He stopped, grabbed her hand, and yanked her to her feet. Don't be a baby, come on, he urged. Who are you calling baby? Ingrid pulled her hand out of Kyle's. You're the one who got us in this mess, wandering off. I wish I never came looking for you. Mark interjected. Will you two cut it out? We have to keep moving. The poacher's right behind us. There's no one following us, Ingrid said. Stop. Listen. The boys stopped and looked back towards the cave's entrance. They held their breaths and listened. Everything seemed to stand still with them. Ingrid was right. There was no movement at the mouth of the cave. Mark was finally able to take in his surroundings. He looked up at the sky, feeling that something wasn't quite right. I'm not sure if I'm seeing Sophie. Okay, I think we lost Sophie, so let me see if I can get back onto her. Hold on, guys. We'll continue the story in a second. Okay, we got Sophie back. Hey, Sophie.
That was very odd. It just decided to kick me out. I think Instagram is very upset with the situation going on with Kyle and Mark and Ingrid right now.
I think so. I feel so.
Well, very strange. Don't you get the feeling that something is wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you ended where?
I was at feeling that something wasn't quite right.
Okay, kids, we continue. The sky was a brilliant blue with just a few misty clouds over the treetops. The air smelled fresh and clean. The grass they walked in was damp, but there was no sign of water in the river. The sun filtered through the leaves of the trees on the other side of the riverbed. The droplets of water on the leaves fractured the light into strange colors, yellows, blues, and violets. That's really strange, Kyle said. He was right behind us. Why would he let us get away? He walked over to the other side of the riverbed and collapsed onto the grass. Mark could see that he was exhausted from his ordeal with the poacher. So he was very surprised when Kyle stood right back up. This grass is wet, he said. Did it rain? No, Ingrid replied. Must be dew.
Dew? Kyle said scornfully. In the middle of the afternoon? Please. It's not rain, Ingrid insisted. There are no clouds and the river is bone dry. She paused thinking, which is real weird, because I swear it was wet when we walked by it before. I think it's morning, Mark said, finally figuring out what had been bothering him. I remember what the Guacharo River runs north to south, so that way must be north. He pointed ahead of him along the river in the direction of the mountains. And so that way, he pointed to his right, is east. And the sun is in the east, so it must be morning. It can't be morning, Ingrid said. We went in the cave that long. It couldn't be. I hate to agree with Ingrid, Mr. Boy Scout, but it's not morning, Kyle said.
Pick up all Boy Scouts. I just remember from when I came up here last time, I remember them talking about the way the river ran down from the northern range. I know it sounds crazy, but look how bright the sky is. I wonder if Chee Chee has taken us into the... Mark's sentence was interrupted by something flying past his ear. He looked around in time to see an arrow plow into a nearby tree and stick there, the end of the arrow vibrating from the impact. Where did that come from? Cal shouted. Ingrid looked around towards the forest. I don't know. I think it was over... She too was interrupted as another arrow flew from the direction of the trees. Duck! Kyle warned, grabbing Ingrid's arm and pulling her down onto the wet grass. Mark didn't need another warning. He dove into the grass as well, just as another arrow whizzed by.
What's going on now? Ingrid moaned. How could Miss Isles bring us to such a dangerous place on our field trip? I I don't think we're on that field trip anymore, Mark whispered. I think that Chee Chee has taken us time traveling again. How does he do that? Said Ingrid. Shh, Kyle whispered urgently. Let's see if we can make it to those rocks over there. The three children ran to take cover behind some boulders in the river. They heard another arrow hit a tree on the other side of the forest. Whoever it is isn't aiming at us, Ingrid said. Mark looked for Chee Chee. He assumed that the monkey had followed them behind the rocks. But the monkey had run off towards the forest.
Another arrow flew in the monkey's direction. They were flying by more frequently now, clearly meant to hit Chee Chee. The children with horror. Chee Chee dodged one arrow that hit very close to its mark. He looked in the children's direction, then leapt into the nearest tree and disappeared into the forest. A few seconds later, the children heard running footsteps. A boy came into view. Mark guessed that he was about 13, 2 or 3 years older than they were. He had a bow in his left hand and a quiver with arrows in the back of his pants. The boy ran nimbly along the riverbed, picking up his spent arrows and stuffing them into his tattered quiver. He bent to get one not far from where the children hid.
Kyle gave a sharp intake of breath when he saw the boy's face. It was scarred with a lightning-shaped mark right below his eye, just like the one on the face of the poacher who had held him in Dunstan's cave. The boy looked over the rocks where the children hid. His eyes narrowed as he tried to focus. The children held their breaths and kept as still as possible in their hiding place. Then they all heard a rustle in the trees. The boy turned in the direction of the noise, stuffed the last arrow into his quiver, and ran off in the direction of the noise.
And that, boys and girls, are our chapters for tonight from the story Trapped in Dunstan's Cave from the Caribbean Adventure Series, Book 3, by Carol Otley Mitchell and illustrated by Anne-Catherine Liu. Anna, Anna, you was expecting all that?
It's real action. This book is action facts. I can't wait to find out what happens next. But it was really good. Thanks so much to everybody who tuned in, for all the kiddies at home. And thanks so much to Read2Me, TT. Of course, tomorrow they're going to be continuing the story. So you guys can check it out on their page. They'll give you guys some more information about what's going on and how you guys could actually finish the story and take it in. But thanks so much to everybody who followed along with us tonight. And don't forget, guys, I know we're going through a whole lot at home. A lot of things that you guys may not necessarily understand as well. But at the end of the day, you guys have to remember the important things. Wash your hands, sanitize, stay at home, keep safe. And if you are celebrating a birthday, we have to tell you, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to anybody who's having a special day today. And it's really useful, actually, if you're having a birthday, because they say that the happy birthday song, if you sing it while you're washing your hands, that will help you wash your hands thoroughly. Back, hair, nails, remember all of it.
Don't forget.
A good job. We know you can do it.
Yeah, so when you're washing your hands, don't forget, say the song, sing it, and that's the duration of time that is going to make sure that you guys wash your hands absolutely clean.
All right. Well, I'm going to be tuning in to Read2Me tomorrow as well, because I can't wait to find out what actually happens to Kyle, to Mark, to Ingrid, and of course,
Chee Chee.
So